Have you noticed it? There seem to be more and more videos claiming that you're doing everything wrong when it comes to eating oats. Some even claim, or at least strongly suggest through their thumbnails, that oats make you gain weight. You'll even come across terms like gut killer. Of course, all of this is designed to grab your attention, but it does oats a great injustice. Quite simply, it's nonsense and pure clickbait. And yes, there are a few simple things worth keeping in mind when eating oats. We'll go over them briefly in this video, so you won't have to waste your time watching all that clickbait. We'll also look at what you can realistically expect from oats in terms of health benefits. As always, it's backed by numbers, data, and scientific evidence, so let's get started right after a short intro. My name is Dr. Fabian Muthach. I'm a German scientist and founder of Salventrix, a company dedicated to close the knowledge gap between science and your daily nutrition. And if you're interested in science-based content and facts, just subscribe to this channel. And oats are a time-tested and truly excellent food. Modern science has now caught up with what many people have already known for a long time. Oats contain a unique type of dietary fiber called beta-glucan, which helps regulate blood sugar levels, lowers cholesterol, and serves as a fuel for our beneficial gut bacteria. More than 100 years ago, the physician Carl von Norton treated patients with diabetes using what became known as an oat cure, with remarkably successful results, according at least to historical reports. Interestingly, a brand new study from 2026 investigated these impressive effects of a short 2-day oat intervention. The participants did not yet have diabetes but suffered from so-called metabolic syndrome. This condition is characterized by a combination of obesity, high blood pressure, elevated blood sugar, and abnormal blood lipid levels. And the participants were instructed to eat 300 grams of oats per day, simply cooked with water. They were also allowed to add some small amounts of fruit or vegetables just for flavor. A control group also followed a calorie-restricted diet, but did not eat any oats. And so what happened? LDL cholesterol, often referred to as the bad cholesterol, dropped by about 10% in the oat group. Blood pressure also decreased slightly, and participants lost an average of about 2 kilograms. That is about 4.4 pounds. Even more remarkably, their gut microbiome had already changed after just 2 days, and these effects persisted for a full 6 weeks. And this suggests that a short oat intervention every 6 weeks or so could be an effective strategy to help prevent elevated cholesterol levels or even reduce the risk of developing type 2 diabetes. So why do you keep seeing YouTube titles and thumbnails suggesting that oats may be unhealthy or even harmful? Well, the answer is simple. There are indeed a few basic things to keep in mind when eating oats. On YouTube, however, these points are often exaggerated to the extreme or simply presented incorrectly. So let's take a quick look. So ready-made breakfast cereals are not the same as oats. Commercial breakfast cereals often contain large amounts of sugar, unhealthy fats, and plenty of empty calories. But that's honestly not the fault of the oats. The few lonely oat flakes that make it into these cereals are certainly not the calorie bombs. If you want to eat oats or oat bran, simply buy plain oats. Add some yogurt or cottage cheese, a handful of nuts, and fresh fruit. In general, stick to foods that are as minimally processed as possible. Okay, second, which type of oats should you choose? As I mentioned earlier, the less processed, the better. That means instant oats are not the best choice. They are actually pretty bad choice, honestly. Beyond that, you'll mainly find rolled oats, like old-fashioned oats, and quick oats. Nutritionally, there isn't a huge difference. The main distinction lies in how they are processed. Rolled oats are made by streaming and flattening the whole oat groat. Quick oats are first cut into smaller pieces before being rolled. As a result, quick oats absorb liquid faster and are commonly used for making oatmeal or porridge. Both types still contain the entire grain. And a study published in 2010 compared different oat particle sizes and their effects on the production of short-chain fatty acids in the large intestine. And the researchers found that larger oat flakes contained more resistant starch, making them a better food source for beneficial gut bacteria, which in turn produced higher amounts of these health-promoting fatty acids. So, hearty rolled oats appear to have a slight advantage over quick oats. There is, however, an even better option. You can roll your own oats. And how does that work? Buy whole oat groats along with a grain flaker and make fresh oat flakes yourself. If you're unfamiliar with grain flakers, I'll also include a link below so you can have a look. The major advantage is that all the valuable compounds in the whole grain are preserved as much as possible. Commercial oats are treated with steam during processing, and this deactivates enzymes such as phytase and superoxide dismutase. The food industry has to do this because untreated oats with fully active enzymes would spoil much more quickly, and consumers expect products with a long shelf life. So freshly rolled oats that are eaten immediately are of course ideal, but if the alternative is not eating any oats at all, store-bought oats are still an excellent choice. Okay, should you soak your oats before eating them? You'll often read online that soaking oats is absolutely essential. And there is some truth to this. But there's also a catch. Oats contain phytic acid, which binds minerals such as iron, zinc, and calcium in the digestive tract. Compared with many other grains, oats contain relatively high amounts of phytic acid. Soaking oats can reduce phytic acid because oats naturally contain phytase, an enzyme that breaks it down. Ideally, oats should soak for at least 30 minutes before eating, or about 60 minutes for larger rolled oats. You can also soak them overnight in the refrigerator, what's now commonly known as overnight oats. And now for the catch. As we just discussed, commercially produced oats are steamed during processing to extend their shelf life. Unfortunately, this heat treatment inactivates phytase, the very enzyme responsible for breaking down phytic acid. In other words, you can soak commercially produced oats, but their phytic acid content won't be significantly reduced throughout that process of soaking. So is there now a major problem with that? And I would say the answer is no. But if you'd like, I can make a separate video explaining phytic acid in detail. Just let me know in the comments whether you'd be interested. Okay, and now last. Oat bran is even better than rolled oats. And the reason for that is also straightforward. Oat bran contains roughly twice as much beta-glucan compared to rolled oats. To obtain the well-established health benefits of beta-glucan, you should consume about 3 grams per day, and that amount is found in approximately 40 grams of oat bran, or about 4 tablespoons. Personally, I need to admit, I find eating oat bran by itself a little boring, so I like to combine oat bran with rolled oats. And now, some final thoughts. That was a lot of information, so let's quickly summarize. The ideal approach would be to roll whole oat groats yourself and soak them overnight before eating. Of course, I realize that this requires extra effort, and not everyone wants to do that. The next best option is simply to buy plain rolled oats. Quick oats are perfectly fine, but larger rolled oats may offer a slight additional benefit. The important thing is to choose whole grain oats, so you make sure you're really getting the complete grain. Combining them with oat bran is even better. As always, I would stay away from highly processed breakfast cereals that contain just a little oats but a lot of sugar. That also contains a lot of artificial flavors and other ingredients you probably don't want to have in your breakfast. And that brings us to the end of today's video. Enjoy eating oats regularly. They're really an outstanding food. And if you enjoyed this video, please like it, share it, subscribe to this channel and leave a comment. And of course, I hope to see you again in the next video. Take care. I'm out for now. Thank you and bye-bye.